deep into politics because Republicans are piling on a sitting member of their own party after Michigan Congressman Justin Amash made his case for the president's impeachment, and he did it on the president's favorite medium, Twitter, ensuring it would be seen in the White House. In a series of tweets, Amash said the president, quote, engaged in impeachable conduct, something the congressman defined as conduct that violates the public trust. According to Amash, the Mueller report provided multiple examples of conduct satisfying all of the elements of obstruction of justice, adding that impeachment, which is a special form of indictment, does not even require probable cause. The president, surprise, surprise, responded on Twitter saying he was never a fan of the congressman, capping off his reply with a predictable insult: Justin is a loser who sadly plays right into our opponent's hands. Wow. Joining me now, NBC News Chief White House correspondent Hallie Jackson and former Assistant U.S. Attorney Mimi Rocah. Mimi, let's talk the law before we talk politics. What argument is Amash making that takes us out of the political realm where he's saying this is just the law?
Yeah, look, Amash looked at the document. I mean, it sounds like he actually read it, which I think distinguishes him from a lot of members of Congress who are defending Trump's conduct. And he is looking at the specific facts and saying the elements. There are three elements. You need an obstructive act done with intent in connection with a sort of ongoing proceeding. It's not that complicated. And Mueller laid out 12 acts. There are nearly 1,000 former federal prosecutors of both parties, bipartisan group, who have signed a statement saying what Amash has said. So they can pile on him all he wants, but the facts are on his side. And if people actually read the report, if you look at the efforts to fire Robert Mueller and then get Don McGahn to lie about it when that comes out, there is just no rational way someone can say that is not obstructive conduct. And that's just one example.
The facts are on his side, Hallie, but the president and the GOP are not. Justin Amash is a relatively unknown name nationally, and people have said as soon as he came out with this, Democrats are going to get behind him. But the reason we've gotten so much attention, it's because the president came out against him. We know that the GOP did. Why are they so concerned with what one single congressman is saying?
So I'm not, it is interesting, Steph, when you look at the response from both sides of the aisle, right? So let's start with Republicans, as you're talking about. And yes, the fact that they are talking about what Congressman Amash said could be indicative of concern, or frankly, it could be indicative of them closing ranks around President Trump and trying to show the president, the guy sitting in the White House behind me here, that they are on his side, they are on his team, and that dissent in this sense is not going to be something that will be condoned. You've had everybody from the head of the RNC, for example, come out and call it sad that Amash is saying and tweeting what he's been saying and tweeting. As for Democrats, even Democrats, though, don't see this as the crack in the wall that's going to lead to the floodgates opening, right? That's something that Congressman Adam Schiff, a powerful chairman, has said, that this is simply a tool. Senator Mazie Hirono was out also saying that this is not something that is going to be seen as a bipartisan call for impeachment. As you know, that has long been Nancy Pelosi's bar for moving to impeach Trump, if there was a bipartisan groundswell of support for this. And frankly, one congressman, and that congressman being Justin Amash, is not going to cut it. He is not somebody who is like a Kevin McCarthy-esque or Steve Scalise-esque figure in the party, somebody who is with his finger on the pulse of where most of the GOP caucus is. He is often sort of an outsider vote or an outsider voice, and so that's some important context to remember here.
But he's an outsider voice, but as a Freedom Caucus guy, this move and his views are core to what they've always cared about, right? They don't like a big deficit. They don't like a lot of spending, and they don't like government overreach. So it's not that Amash has jumped the shark. Couldn't he look to Mick Mulvaney and say, Mick, you're not standing by what we stand for?
But the jumping of the shark, as you phrase it, Stephanie, has jumped the shark long ago, right? In the sense of Freedom Caucus members. And keep in mind that Amash is even an outlier on the Freedom Caucus side, right? Mark Meadows is somebody who's key to the Freedom Caucus. Jim Jordan, they are close allies of President Trump, Congressman Meadows in particular. So, yes, there is now this 2-year-plus long question of conservatives who are okay with a deficit getting bigger, adding to the national debt, et cetera, which go against conservative principles. But Mick Mulvaney is an example of that, somebody who, under the Donald Trump era and the Trump administration, looks to other priorities now, growing the economy, I think he and others would tell you, in different ways now.
Mimi, let's go back to the report, because the president and his closest allies continue to say that the president is completely exonerated, when, of course, the last line of that report, no person sits above the law, and then they cited U.S. versus Nixon. But the special counsel also highlights the president's conduct involving Michael Cohen, his personal lawyer, who he told to stay on message when he was testifying to Congress about the Moscow project. Stay on message?
Yeah, I mean, when you say it, when you look at the words of the report, and thank you for doing that stuff, because we need to focus back on the report and not just the legal battles over it. The conduct is stunning. I mean, as a former prosecutor, and again, I'm going to go back to that statement because we're talking about decades of experience of former federal prosecutors who saw conduct like that, and there are people sitting in jail for conduct like that right now. He engaged in mob-like tactics with Cohen.
But oftentimes with the mob boss is smart enough that he never has blood on his hands. And this is obviously a different scenario, but the president may have communicated stay on message, but it was Michael Cohen who lied, not the president.
Absolutely. But I think, if you look at that in isolation, if you're looking for a handwritten note from Donald Trump to Michael Cohen to lie, or an explicit statement to lie, yeah, you're not going to find that. But all the circumstantial evidence to show that is there. Everyone knows that the reason Michael Cohen was lying was to stay in message with Trump. He basically said his own message publicly, and he got him to lie about the Stormy Daniels affair. I think that was more explicit. And he really intimidated. First, he tried to get Cohen not to cooperate through inducements and positive messages. And then when it looked like Cohen was cooperating, he engaged in witness intimidation. This is blatant stuff.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.